from TheoTrade. This is Don Kaufman. December 29th, 2020, minutes after the cash close here. Holiday week of trade, Tuesday afternoon. The S&P futures finished for the most part massively unchanged, but there is some decent sized movement underway. And effectively what we're seeing, well, number one, the Russell just got absolutely hammered today, and really a mass bifurcation appears to be underway. This is something we're actually going to watch very, very carefully in the days to come. Let me point out exactly what we're talking about. And again, you know what? So we're going to look at the Russell, right? And we're going to look at that secondarily. One of the things that was a real standout today that I think a lot of traders are going to miss is, number one, the volume probably better than I would have expected inside of the S&Ps. So, say what you will, it's a holiday week of trade, nothing's going to happen here. Still doing about 1 million contracts inside of the S&Ps. So there was some size trading throughout the course of the day, a little bit of sell side activity. We rebounded, yada, yada, yada. You're looking at the S&Ps, you're like, you can't make it, heads or tails, right? They're for the most part unchanged. I get it. Then why is volatility up? And this is actually a huge question mark over here. You look at the volatility futures and their bid to the tune, of like 1 point. And 1 point is substantial when it comes down to volatility futures. So it is absolutely unusual to see this kind of, bid come into volatility. Most of the time you're in a holiday week of trade, and this is Tuesday, right? Coming into Wednesday, Thursday. By the way, Wednesday and Thursday is still a full day of trade, okay? Christmas Eve has half a session. New Year's Eve is still a full session. It's unusual to see, again, this type of a bid come into volatility. You can look at the volatility futures, you can look at the VIX, okay? And again, it's a fairly substantial bid coming in, but there's more to it than that. The bid also was felt in the VVIX, that's the volatility of the volatility index. The bid was also felt in 3-month VIX, okay? It was also felt in 9-day. And here's probably the most unusual of all of these, 9-day volatility. And what this is a VIX, okay? 9-day. So you're actually looking at a really short-term VIX. It's bid. And I'll tell you what, it was actually on fire throughout the course of yesterday. There's a bidder into volatility in the very, very short duration here. And that's why I'm saying that you should actually have, a little bit of a level of concern coming into this. Now, maybe some of this is to deal with some of the political posturing going on, in Washington, around the world for that matter. Okay. But again, this is very, very short duration bid to volatility, and you should kind of heed the warning. Now, that's volatility being up. All right. And anytime volatility is up, you got to kind of be on your game. Now, the next thing, of course, is yes, we have got to take a look at the Russell, because the Russell, it got hammered today by the tune of almost 2%. Say what you will. Again, it's a very quiet day, really, because again, the volume inside of the Russell, specifically, this is the Russell futures, was a rocking out there. And, one other aspect. So it finished down 2%, right? So what? Here's one other interesting aspect. If you take a look at the IWM, all right, the IWM is the ETF version, of course, of the Russell, and you start to look out at volatility. Now, I'm just going to freeze the screen for a second. I'm actually going to pull this up. I just want you to see. Look, okay, 2-day, all right, 10-day, 17-day, 24-day. All of the volatilities, if are almost, for the most part, they're the same. And that also is unusual. Again, in a holiday week of trade, you typically don't see like 2-day volatility. You would think that would be really crushed down because nothing's going to happen over here. But then for next week, the week after that, okay, the vol skew is almost completely and totally flat. So that actually kind of caught my attention. Again, volatility net isn't necessarily like elevated in here. I mean, the IV percentile is kind of low. In fact, when we actually looked at the IV percentile, it's held rather consistent, even with this wicked rally up. A little bit of a bump up in volatility today, but this is something worth noting, that the vol skew is rather flat, which again, it means today's risk is pretty much the same as, almost 170-day risk, which again implies that there's quite a bit of risk packed into even the short duration here. So then I looked over at the spiders. Okay, the spiders. Now the spiders completely different. I mean, the spiders, this looks more normal to me, right? got 12% volatility, 15% volatility. Even the January like 4th, the volatility is low, and then it starts to pick up. So something is definitely up in the Russell. We'll see if it proliferates to the rest of the marketplace. Last but definitely not least, okay, we can bring up the QQQ. Now you can of course explore the QQQ and you can explore the chart. Okay, till your heart's content. Volatility is also holding rather constant here. But when you start to look at the options chain, it too, again, looks a little peculiar. Volatility looks a little bit higher in here than you would have anticipated. Again, could be some of the political posturing. Nevertheless, okay, one of the things that really resonated outside of the volatility, outside the fact that, the Russell had some again, strong sell side activity in today, there is a fairly massive bifurcation that was going on. Now, one of the things that I've kind of mentioned to everybody, key in on this, the financials, okay? It's unusual to see the Russell down 2% without the financials being down nearly as much. The financials today, they finished the day largely unchanged. Again, 0.3%, whatever. That's an absolute nothing move over here. You have to watch these, okay? You have to watch them because, again, I'm incessantly mentioning if the marketplace is going to see some sell side activity, all right, it's going to be led by the financials. People are always talking about tech this and tech that. Take a look at tech. And this is exactly why I'm explaining that there's a wild bifurcation. Tech didn't do well today. Microsoft, for the most part, unchanged. Apple got whacked back by 1.3%. You didn't see the Nasdaq do anything but finish higher. Okay. Facebook finishes what? Largely unchanged. Google also down, okay, by about 1%. What held us up today? Well, probably a little bit of Amazon, and even Netflix had a say in this, okay? But the most unlikely of sources, Intel, okay? Intel had a wild bid under it, and this was actually due to some news on here. It was interesting news as well. If you have some time to read, a third party basically came in and said, Intel better get your act together and look for strategic alternatives. And the stock actually bid up on that because it becomes all of a sudden a deal stock. And in large part, Tesla, okay, nothing going in here. So we're seeing a wild kind of bifurcation play out. And again, this is where you got to be on your game because the marketplace, that bid that came under volatility, I'm suspect that the bid in volatility is due to the fact that we're already seeing this kind of bifurcation. Again, several key tech stocks are down, but that in very large part got masked by this 2-day move in Amazon. And it's been a stellar 2-day move inside of Amazon. When I say it's been masked, okay, what's it matter that anything is down when you have, again, a titan of technology like Amazon bid 2 days? That is enough unto itself, okay, to kind of sustain the Nasdaq here in the near term. But these bifurcations, you have to watch and watch very, very carefully. Listen, the S&Ps today, all right, from an advanced decline line standpoint, they started the day, okay, with 98 stocks trading to the upside. And again, that's the S&P 100. This is exactly what I'm talking about with the bifurcation. The market may have actually finished flat. The Nasdaq even finished a little bit higher, but the advanced decline line, okay, it's negative at this point. And again, there are very key players that are seeing sell side activity, right? Even dragging down the Dow quite a bit into the cash close today. Again, watch some of the bifurcation. Obviously, eyes on volatility, eyes on the financials. Again, the remainder of this week, you would think, again, holiday week of trade, not much can transpire. Okay. We are going to be watching trade the remainder of this week. We believe that for the most part, traders, ourselves, retail and professional, still sitting in front of the screens throughout the course of these holiday trading sessions. With that, thanks everybody for joining us here at TheoTrade. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.